Okay, hey everyone. I know it's just two of you guys here, but there are a few people online, so thank you all for coming to the session. I should throw out the disclaimer now. First of all, sorry we're late. There's just like a lot going on, and I know there's only a few technical crew that is running right now. Okay, and then secondly is that this is the beginner intermediate session. There is an advanced session with Sebastian that's happening at the same time. So depending on like where you feel like you should go, either go here or with Sebastian. Okay, thank you. Okay, cool. Let's begin. Okay, so I did make this presentation last year. I presented it last year when we were all online during COVID, and so this is the same session from last year. So if you were here last year for this session, you would be familiar with this. Okay, so in the session itinerary, we have a brief theory recap. We have level 2 to 4 rudiments. Level 2 being the level, the PDQB levels, which Anthony Evans did speak on earlier. And lastly, we'll have some sight reading exercises, which is also part of the PDQB level 2 to 4. Okay, I do know that Josh did a session earlier where he did some theory and he introduced theory and music notes. So we'll just do a brief recap of that before moving on to like the rudiments. Okay, thank you. Cool, so let's start with the theory. So here we have the hierarchy of node values. I know Josh did introduce all the node values before, but I'll quickly go over them very quickly. At the top, we have the whole node of the semi-brief, and then half of that we have the minimum or the half node, and then half of that we have the crotchet or the quarter node. And then every time we keep dividing the nodes, we have the quaver, then the semi-quaver, the demi-semi-quaver, and then the hemi-demi-semi-quaver. Okay, now in pipe band drumming, you will most likely never see the whole note, you will never see the semi-brief. Maybe every now and then we'll see the minimum, but most of the times we're going to be seeing the quaver, a little bit of crotchets in some strat space and some slowers, but we'll see a lot of semi-quavers and we'll see a lot of demi-semi-quavers as well. Okay. Same thing here, we have the hierarchy of rest values. In a similar way, we have the whole node rest, half of that is the minimum rest, the crotchet rest, the quaver rest, and then the semi-quaver rest. Again, in pipe band drumming, we almost never see rests, right? We will see them like a lot in slowers, like when we look at that kind of music, but generally we won't see rest in pipe band music, just because of the nature of pipe band drumming. Okay. Cool, so let's put some theory into practice, okay? So we recap the node values, and then now we're going to try put those into a bar. So as you can see, the first one, we have 4 crotchets in 4/4 time, so each of the crotchets is taking up 1 beat in the 4/4 time. Then cool, let's build on that bar. So here in the second bar, we have a minimum, which takes up 2 crotchet values. So we have 1 minimum there, and then 2 more crotchets, making up 4 beats in a bar. Okay, then let's continue building on from that. In bar 3, now we have 1 crotchet and then 2 quavers, and then a 3rd crotchet and a 4th crotchet. So that'll make up 4 notes in that bar. And in the last bar, we have a little bit more complex bar. We have 4 semi-quavers. So we have taking up that first beat. So the 4 semi-quavers will take up all that entire beat. And then in beat 2, we have a crotchet. And in beat 3, we have 2 quavers. And then lastly, in beat 4, we have that crotchet again. So making up 4 notes in a bar. Yeah. So now let's take this a step further and let's apply writing music to specifically drumming music. Cool. So here we have, again, 4 notes in the bar, 1 crotchet, 2 crotchet, 3 crotchet, 4 crotchet. But here it's written in a drumming stage. So let me just do a quick reminder. If you see a note that's above the line, it's on the right hand. If you see a note below the line, it's on the left hand. As I did indicate here, on the slide as well. So if I had to play this on a drum or a drum pad, it would just sound right, left, right, left. Obviously, that's not very practical of what we do with our drumming music. We do a lot more cooler things. But just for the sake of the theory, that is how you do it. Yeah. Okay. So let's continue with that. Yeah, I did write out a whole 4 bars of drumming music, and then I will once again play it for you on the drum pad, just so you can see what it sounds like. Okay. So here we have right, left, 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 right. Sorry, I messed up. Let me try again. Okay, the second line. Right, left, right, left. Okay. So give me a chance, give me a chance. I told you I wrote this last year. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Okay. Let us move on from this. We can actually do some practical rudiments now. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So theory aside, let's get to some drumming rudiments that we will actually see in the PDQB levels 2 to 4. Okay. Now over here we have the level 4 practical requirements that is required of you for the PDQB exam. Okay, so I'll quickly go through them. The requirements include counting in simple and compound time, single stroke work, playing paradiddles with accents on the first, second, third, and fourth note with tempo marks, playing the long roll both open and closed, continued development of 5-stroke rolls, 7-stroke rolls, 9-stroke rolls, and 13-stroke rolls, and then playing the 3-beat roll. Okay, and then also flams in simple and compound time, and then drags in simple and compound time as well. Okay. And then lastly, accented rolls on 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Now, we don't have time to be doing all of these rudiments, obviously, but we will be doing some of the more important ones or more harder ones. So if they do ask you for easier ones, that will be a lot easier than what you've already done. Okay, cool. So let's start out with the time signatures, simple and compound time signatures. Okay. Oof, okay. Graphic designers. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry about the compound word. It didn't look like that when I created the presentation. All right. Okay. So here in simple time, we have 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4 for the sake of the example. And in compound time, we have 6/8, 9/8, and 12/8. Okay. Now the way to differentiate between simple and compound time is that in simple time, when you see the numbers 2, 3, and 4 at the top, that's when you have a simple time signature. And in compound time, when you see the numbers 6, 9, and 12, that's when you know it is in compound time. Okay. Now at this point, you should be wondering, why shouldn't 3, 4, and 6, 8 be the same? They have the same amount of note values in the bar, right? 3, 4 is 3 crotchets, and then 6, 8 is 6 quavers, and that's the same amount of note values. Why do we need two different time signatures instead of using one, the 3, 4, or the 6, 8? And then the answer to that question is because it has to do with how the beats are, how the notes are grouped. So in simple time, you'll have in the 3, 4, you'll have 3 crotchet beats, and each of those crotchet beats are grouped per crotchet. Whereas in 6, 8, your quavers, your 6 quavers are grouped in 3s. Yeah, so you'll have 2 groups of 3 quavers, and I'll show you a little bit more about that in the examples that we're going through. Okay, yeah. So over here we have simple time, and you can see here, especially if you look at the first note, the first line, sorry, you have it's 4/4 time, and then you have In the first bar, 4 crotchets. In the second bar, you have a triplet here, taking up the time of 1 crotchet, and another crotchet, 2 quavers, and then lastly one crotchet. In bar 3, we have 2 crotchets, 4 semiquavers, and 1 crotchet, and then lastly we have a minimum there, and then 2 more crotchets. Okay, that is in 4/4 time. Obviously, in the next line in 2/4 time, one minimum is enough to fill the whole bar, as you can see in the first line there. And then in bar 2, you can see 1 crotchet and then 2 quavers. In bar 3, here we have a rest, here crotchet rest, and then a crotchet note afterwards. And then in bar 4, we have a quaver with 2 semiquavers and then a crotchet rest afterwards. Cool, so that's simple time. And then in compound time, here again, like I was saying earlier, when it comes to compound time and how the notes are grouped, you can see here in 6/8, the quavers are grouped in threes. So in the first bar, you have a dotted crotchet, which is 3 quavers, and then in bar 2, you have 6 quavers, but they are grouped in threes. So that's what I was talking about earlier. It has to do with how the notes are grouped, and that is what creates the difference between compound and simple time. Okay, you can see here in 6/8, you want six quavers in a bar, and in each group there'll be 2 groups of the 3 quavers, and in 9/8 you have 3 groups of 3 quavers. Yeah, so I don't want to spend too much time on this. I do know we have a lot to get to, so let's keep going. Okay, cool. So here I have a small test, and before we continue, I'll give you guys like 2 minutes just so you guys can quiz yourself. Okay, cool. Yeah, it shouldn't take you guys too long. Let's go through the answers quickly. Yeah, so the first one is 4/4. You can see 2 quavers will give you a crotchet, then followed by another crotchet, then another 2 quavers, and then a crotchet. So that's 4/4. The second one is 12/8. We do have 12 quavers in that bar. Again, they are grouped in threes, as you can see by the dotted crotchet and the dotted crotchet rests. And the next one is in 3/4. Yeah, because there is a 1 minimum there, and then followed by a crotchet, so that is 3 crotchet beats, and then lastly we have 2/4. So 4 semiquavers is 1 crotchet plus 1 crotchet is 2 crotchets. Okay, let's continue. Okay, yeah, so now we actually get to the more practical side of the rudiments, explain drumming rudiments and embellishments. Remember earlier we talked about flams and drags. You guys in Symbolics core, have you guys played drags in the music? Okay, cool, good stuff. In MSR, okay, cool, all right. Then yeah, so like I said, the rudiments that we'll cover: single stroke, paradiddles, rolls, flams, and drags. I think we're going to start with singles first. Okay. Okay, cool. So here, this is an extract from the level 4 PDQB exam. All right, so not the exam, but like the books, the level 4 requirements for the exam. So if you can play like these kind of rudiments, you should be very equipped for the level 4 exam. Okay, so in this rudiment here, we have 1 and 2 E and diggy dum tap tap. Then we repeat it on the other hand: 1 and 2 E and diggy dum tap tap. Okay, let's give it a try since we are here in contact. I'll count us in. 1, 2, 1 and 2 E and diggy dum tap tap. 1, 2 E and diggy dum tap tap. Repeat. 1 and 2 E and diggy dum tap tap. 1 and 2 E yeah, so like I said earlier, this is it is very basic rudiments, but like it doesn't need to stop there. We just play it quite slowly. When if you guys want to take it further, you can play it a lot quicker, and you can look through more exercises to find more rudiments. I think I have one more here. Okay, yeah. So like that, there is another one here, slightly more complex. So you have one E and diggy down, and one E and diggy down. And repeat on the other hand, one E and diggy down, and one E and diggy down. Okay, let's try again. 1, 2, 1 E and diggy down, and 1 E and one E and diggy down, and one E and diggy. Cool. Just try it one more time. Okay. 1, 2, 1 E and diggy down, and 1 E and diggy down, 1 E and diggy down, and 1 E and diggy down. Okay. So yeah, as you can see by now, it is slightly more complex than or slightly more busier than the first one. But yeah, there is lots of rudiments in the PDQB books that we can access, and then with regards to single stroke and the rest of the rudiments that we'll cover. Okay, let's move on. Okay, cool. So we also have single stroke in compound ties. Yeah, guys, I wasn't lying when I said like I made this presentation last year. I forgot half of the stuff I put in. Okay, cool. So single stroke in compound time. Here we have 1 and 2 and diggy down tap. Then repeat on the other hand, 1 and 2 and diggy down tap. Let's try together. 1, 2, 1 and 2 and diggy down tap. 1 and 2 and diggy down tap. Cool. Let's try it one more time. 1, 2, 1 and 2 and diggy down tap. 1 and 2 and diggy down tap. Okay, you know you can play on the pad, right? If you want to.
Yeah, but I'm just.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So I think that's all in terms of single stroke rhythms that we have, and then let's see what we have next. Oh, okay. The paradiddle. So I know you guys have been playing for a decent amount of time. You told me you've been playing the paradiddle for a long time now during the COVID period. Okay, but it's a very basic rudiment, but we'll try to beef it up a little bit more. Okay, so obviously the paradiddle, for those of you who don't know, is just a 4-note movement: right, left, right, right, and then if you repeat it on the other hand, it'll be left, right, left, left. Okay. Now, the requirement for the PDQB level 4 is that we need to put accents on each note of the paradiddle movement. So here in this line here, the accent is on the first note of the paradiddle movement. And I don't mind playing it for you this line. So. Cool, let's stop there. Okay, now we'll move on and we'll try to put the accent on the other notes of the paradiddle as well. And I know, as soon as we do this, it gets a lot harder, especially if you haven't tried it before. Okay, so as you can see, we just moved the paradiddle accent down the line. Have you guys tried this before?
Because in our music. Yeah.
Really? Okay. That's cool, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so let's have a look at that second line again. Sorry, the first line. So paradiddle with the accent on the second note. Okay, obviously, this is significantly harder than putting it on the first note, especially if we just play it as a rudiment like this. But it does get harder, obviously, when you put on the third note and the fourth note. Let's give it a try. Sorry. So that's what it'll sound like on the third note, and then on the fourth note. Okay, yeah, so this is something that they pushed all the way to the PDQB level 6, as far as I know. And it's also just like a very nice rudiment to be playing, just in general. So obviously you can play the paradiddle with the notes on the different the accents on the different notes. But then you can even try and play a line of paradiddles where the first two paradiddles you play on the first note, the next two on the second note, third note on the fourth note. So you can actually move the accent down like this. Yeah, so that's all four combined, and it's a very nice rudiment to play. And I remember when I did my PDQP exams, I'm pretty sure this is one of the rudiments they asked me to do. So it is a good rudiment to practice. Okay, let's move on. Aha, so we got to the embellishments now. Now, so you guys know this as flam or drag, right? Yeah, right. So, but this is the technical term for the flam. It's called the articatura, but you guys have never heard that one before. Yeah. Cool. So, as the definition says, a grace note that is performed as quickly as possible before an essential note of a melody, and in our case, it's a rhythm. Okay. So here, that's our flam rudiment. And then, as you can see, the main note is the bigger note, the grace note is the smaller note. And the grace note is before the main note, just fractionally before. It's not like quite a bit before. Yeah, okay. And then the second one is the drag. You guys have seen that one before. Same thing here. The grace note is before the main note. I can show you quickly what the flams and drags sound like. Right flam, the left flam is. Cool. And then right drag. And then left drag. I know, like generally in like novice scores or grade 4 course, you probably wouldn't have seen left drags yet. They are quite tough. Yeah, thank goodness. But yeah, when you get to like a grade 2 and grade 1 level, then yeah, then you'll start seeing left drags. Cool. Then let's look at some exercises with the embellishment. But I did something a bit sneaky here. So you know how we did that line of paradiddles? So let's do flamadiddles instead, and then afterwards we'll do dragadiddles. Yeah. So flamadiddles. Yeah. So same thing here. It's the same paradiddle exercise. But now we're just putting flams into it. So you can see it is a very nice exercise. So like you can add a variety of rudiments to it. So let's try with the drag. This is a lot tough. This is very tough. Don't worry. Yeah, there is left drag. Okay, so drag. Excuse me. Yeah. So the trick here is if you can't play something, you can just slow it down enough until you can, and then when you're comfortable, then you can speed it up gradually. Good. You know how we put the accents on the different notes and paradiddles. You can do the same with flams and drags. I don't think we will now, because that'll be really tough. Excuse me. Yeah, but you know, like I said, if you want to take things further, you can put the flam on every note of the paradiddle, put the drag on every note of the paradiddle. It does get really tough, and I know this is it's not This is not the advanced movement session, so we won't do that here. But like, again, if you guys would like to do that, can try practice that at home. Okay, yeah, so lastly, like we said, the roll movement. We will look at the 5, 7, and 13 stroke rolls. They do ask you for 9 stroke rolls, but like if you can play these, play 9 stroke. Yeah. Okay, so as you can see here, the 5 stroke roll, it's buzz, buzz, tap, 2 buzzes, 1 tap, 7 stroke roll, 3 buzzes, 1 tap from left to right, whereas the 5 stroke roll, it's, you start on the right hand, you end on the right hand. The 7 stroke roll, if you start on the right hand, you have to end on the left hand, and then the 13 stroke roll, you start on the right hand, end on the right hand, 13 strokes. Okay, so let's look at some exercises with those rolls. Okay, the 5 stroke roll, we have buzzes up, tap, 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 buzzes up, chop, chop, chop. Here it just doubles to fill in the spots, get the sticking for the 5 stroke rolls. Have a listen. 1, 2. And then just repeat it on the other hand. Yeah, so again, not too difficult of an exercise, but it will help development of your 5 stroke rolls, and obviously you can push the tempo if you need to. Here we have the 7 stroke rolls. In a similar exercise, you have zup, zup, cha, 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 zup, zup, cha, zup, zup, cha, 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 zup, zup, cha. Okay, let's give it a try. Cool, yeah, so same thing as a 5 stroke roll rudiment. It's not too difficult, but you can push the tempo if you want to make it a bit more difficult. Okay, and then lastly is the 13 stroke roll. Yeah, this is a very simple exercise. Maybe you might throw you off if you do it on the left, but you should get it after one to two tries. Yeah, ja, za, za. Yeah, it's all on the beat. The 13 stroke roll start on the beat, the end on the beat. All right, let's give it a try. 1, 2. Yeah, and then you can repeat it afterwards. But yeah, like we did on the right hand, the next phrase I guess is on the left hand, same with 13 stroke rolls. Okay. Cool. So let us move on to sight reading. Okay. Now, when it comes to sight reading, you know, this is a skill like most other skills. You just have to practice it to get better at it. Okay. Now, I've narrowed it down to 3 steps in terms of how you would approach sight reading, or at least according to myself. That this is how I do it at the very least. Okay. So I do have an example on the next slide, but we'll get there when we get there. Okay, so the first step is identify the type of tune. Okay, so in the exam, you'll definitely be given a march at the very least. I know they usually give you 2. One will definitely be a march, either in compound time or single or simple time, and then the other will be it could be any tune, it could be a scratch pay, it could be a jig. But yeah, the first step is identify the type of tune. Okay, then step 2 is identify what rudiments are present. Obviously, if you want to sight read, you're going to have to see what rudiments the score is asking you to play. Okay. And then lastly, identify the rudiments in relation to their respective beat and bar. So, you know, if a rudiment starts on the beat, you need to know it starts on this beat. If the rudiment ends on the beat, then you're going to be playing it, you know, when it ends on that beat. And I'll show you what we mean when we do this example now. Okay. Cool. So here, you know, in the examiner will give you a piece of music composed by someone, and then there's the name of the tune. So here we have a 2/4 march. Okay, so the first step would be to identify what type of tune, and if the examiner will give you a piece of music on a score of music, then it'll tell you exactly, okay, this is a 2/4 march. Okay, cool. So that is step one. Step two is identify what rudiments are present. So over here, the first rudiment we have is a right flam. Then there is a left tap afterwards. Then we have a 7-stroke roll, followed by a 13-stroke roll with a left tap afterwards. And then in bar 3, we have a 7-stroke roll with a right flam, and then a paradiddle movement, but it's a dollar card paradiddle movement, so it'll sound like this. Okay, and then after the paradiddle, it's left flam with 2 taps, right and left, that's dollar card taps with a right flam at the end. Okay, so that's how you would go about identifying your rudiments. And lastly, step 3, identify your rudiments in relation to the respective beat and bar. So here it is a 2/4 march, we want 2 beats in a bar. So obviously you can see the right flam is on beat 1, the 7-stroke roll begins on beat 2, a 13-stroke roll goes, it starts and ends on the beat like we discussed earlier. And then in bar 3, the 7-stroke roll starts on the beat, and then there's a flam which is on beat 2 of bar 3. And the paradiddle is sort of like in the middle of bar 4. So we won't when we play the paradiddle, we'll get through it pretty quickly. So we won't really have time to like feel the beat unless you're like tapping your foot to it, which you should be doing. And then there is that right tap, that right tap, left tap and flam. That right tap is on the beat. Yeah, so once you have done those 3 steps, then you would like give it a try. So yeah, in the exam, at the very least, it's not like they're not going to crucify you if you get it wrong the first try. They'll give you a few tries to get it right at the very least. Here we have. Yeah, and if you can go about implementing these steps in any piece of music, then you should be able to sight read very effectively, at least for pipeline drumming. Okay.
Here's a familiar tune. This looks like probably made.
Does it? Yeah, you see, yeah, okay. Cool. So thank you so much. This is the beginner and intermediate presentation. I know like this is supposed to be like more of a practical one, but like all the rudiments that we did here, you can find them online on the pdqb.org, the PDQB website, with a lot more rudiments as well. So like you can take the ones that we did in this presentation and continue to build on them, continue to learn more rudiments that you will find there on the on the website. Cool. Thanks so much, guys.